July the 2nd, 2024. Guys, my Huskies are in the studio playing, so excuse them. But we have the 11 a.m. report, guys. It's been out 30 minutes now. And we have 160 mile per hour Cat 5 setting southwest of San Juan, Puerto Rico. 160 mile per hour winds, very powerful. That's the sustained winds, not the gust. And we've picked up forward speed to 22 miles per hour, 938 millibars of pressure. Jamaica, you're going to be in the worst part of the storm. I hate to say that, but it's true. Look at the path here. You're going to be in the northeast quadrant, and it's not going to be that far from you. You can see Cat 4 Wednesday at 8 a.m., right? That's in the morning, guys. You're not going to have time to do anything. Today is the last preparation day that you have. It's setting back right here, and it's, again, moving a little faster toward you. It's showing it slowing down to a Cat 3 by Wednesday evening. Thursday morning, 105 mile per hour Cat 2, and then a Cat 1 Thursday evening, and then a Cat 1 Friday morning coming into the Yucatan, and then Saturday and Sunday are winding up in the southern Gulf as a tropical storm, 65 mile per hour. You know me, we're going to look at the numbers ourselves. Now, also 11 a.m. update. Here are our models. The Navy model has it coming straight into Galveston area right there, and the CMC has it down into central Mexico. Now, this indicates what you're seeing on the chart before this. The outer ring there and the last on Saturday and Sunday are indicating exactly this, somewhere between the CMC and the Navy model. Now, the TAB model shows it coming up through Louisiana still. I'm not sure about that. I always rely on, for the main two, is the Navy and the CMC. And right now they're pretty far apart. That's going to change each update. And finally they're going to cross hairs somewhere, and we're going to have a very good idea of what this thing's going to do. But right now, guys, you need to prepare. Jamaica, you're right there. And then you got, again, your Grand Cayman Islands up in this area. So just hunker down. If I were on some of these islands, and especially if I was visiting, I would look for flights out before it's too late. This is going to be a rough thing to endure. Guys, you remember the storm that set off the Bahamas a few years ago? I don't remember the name just right off the top of my head, but it sat there for a couple of days at speeds like we're seeing now. Just sat there. But I remember looking at the videos coming from there and water coming up to the second floor of the beach houses and stuff. Remember that? That's what you're more than likely you're going to be dealing with. So this is not something you want to just say, we're going to have a hurricane party. Believe me. Before we go to our satellite images, let's take a look at those two models. Here is the Navy model, and it shows the strengthening in the Gulf of Mexico, not weakening. But anyway, it does show it coming right across Jamaica there, coming across the tip of the Yucatan, and right up through the Houston-Galveston area. And the Sabine River area here on the border is the northeast quadrant of the storm. So far, we know that this is going to change somewhat. And what happens is the low pressure opens up right here. High pressure moves back to the right. That's what the Navy is seeing. And think about it. Who would have the most vested interest in the oceans, especially in this area? It is the U.S. Navy. That's why I really like to depend on them a lot. But, again, we need more information from more than one model. Again, look at it winding up and getting tighter in the Gulf. And that makes sense to me. The Gulf is way too warm. And the U.S. Navy knows that. Now, this is the Canadian model. Again, your high pressure is the ruler of this. The only thing I'm going to say is the storm this powerful right here will create its own weather. Notice a more southerly dip from the Canadian model going into Mexico here, south of the border with Texas. And all of the activity, watch as we let it play back through, the activity coming out of the Caribbean. You actually have something following this storm right here, more or less. See that? Right there. So Mexico, southern Texas, there is that secondary storm right there in Texas, and that's going out to the end of the model. So their timing is pretty much the same. Here we're on July the 6th, 7th, 8th. We got the other storm right behind it, and there's still activity here. This is what they're saying may limit the storm is actually the northeast movement coming out of the equatorial zone and the convergence zone. But guys, all of this is a little off this year, and I think we know why. But again, this is what the Canadian model is showing. They're very good too. Again, when it gets down to the last few days, we're going to be Xing those two models more than likely. Now here's an overall look all the way from the African coast all the way to the Pacific Ocean. Here's Beryl right there, very well defined hurricane. These images will go down as some of the top storms in history. This one and just a few more that have been this strong this far out. Remember Cat 4 before it came into the Caribbean. Now we're dealing with a Cat 5 right here. Michael, they said it came in as a Cat 4, but then when the people that come in and analyze it, I guess some of the insurance people and know and all whatever said it was a Cat 5 at the last minute. It sped up to that point. And that's what really concerns me about them slowing this thing down in the Gulf of Mexico in their charts. Now, looking at this map overall, I have another concern besides Beryl, and that is the lack of moisture starting to set in July in the U.S. and the heat here. We're starting to see a few storms right there. See that coming off the Louisiana, Mississippi coast, but not much more. You've got some up around the Great Lakes, but this is not heavy rainfall at all, according to the satellite images. But Beryl, you can see that outer bands are already up. You got Puerto Rico here and you Haiti. All of this is starting to be affected. Now, the outer bands are not the strongest winds by any means. They're going to be closer to the center, but they're strong enough when you're dealing with a Cat 5 hurricane to be doing already some damage in that area. Now, this is looking at the last couple of days here, guys. Look at this. Here's your Windward Islands. I know the blue lines are probably hard to see on the phone. Here's Haiti, Dominican Republic, tip of Cuba here, South America there. Here's the Bahamas right up in this area. Look at that monster, perfectly defined eye. Now, we're back at the National Hurricane Center now. Jamaica, you're in a full-fledged hurricane warning. See the red? Now here, the Dominican Republic, you've got tropical storm warnings. You've got hurricane watches. That's going to change very quickly, more than likely. But Jamaica, you're full-fledged. Cayman Islands, you are in hurricane watches also. All of this is going to start changing rapidly, and it won't be long, guys. We'll start getting some the storm surge information for the Gulf of Mexico itself and possibly for the Yucatan. Again, here's your 11 a.m. report. Still sustained winds at 160. Now let's go to the numbers. Now this is the latest printout from the computer information. Right now you've got maximum sustained winds at 140. Again, that's why you're seeing the 160 mile hour sustained winds. But guys, our gust, this is the strongest number we've seen on the storm yet. 175 knot gust. Guys, you're dealing with 210 or 201 mile per hour gust. Think of that. And I don't know if these storms continue, they're going to have to break down these categories to at least a Cat 6, maybe a Cat 7, just like they do earthquakes, because there is a big difference once you get it, again, 175 knots, 201 mile per hour gust. We may need a bigger boat, Captain. Now let's look at Wednesday. Here on the morning report or the morning forecast for tomorrow, you got 135 knot winds. That's 155 miles an hour, guys. That's 1 mile per hour under a Cat 5. So expect a Cat 5, Jamaica. And remember, these numbers have not been decreasing as was projected. Your wind gust at 165 knots, guys, that's 190 miles per hour. You got to be very careful with this. They're saying by the evening of the 3rd, tomorrow, that will be slowing down to 120 knots and 145 knot gust. So, and that would be, in my opinion, because it has been crossing the island of Jamaica, and that will slow them down. But 120 knots, you're 138 miles an hour right there. And guys, you're dealing with that strong Cat 4 again. They begin at 130. 145 knot gust, and you're dealing with basically 166 mile per hour winds tomorrow night over Cat 5 gust. Then you see the slowdown here going to the fourth, 105 knots, 90 knots. But what we're going to do is watch it, because the forward predictions are way too conservative right now. You can't blame them, but they are. That's just how it is. Guys, I'm going to end it here and watch for the updates this afternoon. It's a heads up. Be safe.